So my name is Kęstutis, but I will introduce during the presentation, so you'll find more about me. So here it is like my slides. So here it is like introduction. So introduction, I will start from introduction. For some reason, it seems like here will be. Okay, so it was like my presentation, uh, like how I call it. So then we will go to slide which is very simple. So it's like here I will be talking just today's agenda. So I will just show what I'm doing a bit, but then you will find more information when I will be presenting. I'll be talking namely about 3D. 3D adding time means 4D. So I will be, you already saw an example. I like it and sometimes it helps. So you will see it. So I wrote what you will see. Maybe you will like it. So maybe you will have questions. I will be talking fast. So maybe let's go. So here you see like an example, and I'm a bit like proud of it. So it'd be like I can share. I shouldn't do it because I like promoting myself, but I will do it because you see the same animated GIF. And then if we go down, so we have 3D. It's snow depths. Baltics had like quite significant snow depths this year. Some of you maybe didn't see snow maybe for plenty of years. So it's like how it developed. Okay, then some videos, some animations. 2D I do not like much. This is everything will be today, almost everything will be about weather. Why weather? I will tell a bit later. I work in insurance, so weather is important in insurance. But what to talk about 3D if not about weather? So weather always is fine. So here, if we go down, I like this one. It is like, you just plot map. So I will be talking a bit also about geospatial data. This is like also you already see it was 2D. Actually, what you saw, I did it like, frankly speaking, maybe even today, tonight, maybe yesterday evening. So this is 2D. Oh, sorry, you do not see it for some reason. Oh, you see it. Oh no. I was talking but not sure if you see my screen. I will leave my presentation. I don't know why. Okay. So here, sorry, it's like I didn't see what I'm talking about. So this is like my all these like uh, posts on LinkedIn. So here it's like examples of it. So I like animation. It's 2D but still nice. This is snow depths again. Lithuania just. So going down. So this is one which I told I like because it's like just map, but maps data taken from OpenStreetMaps. So I choose colors myself everything and see it's like it's just like New Year Eve, whatever because it's like uh, fire horse, something like that. This is what I was talking about. This was 2D. So yesterday night I did like it's 3D. It took me a while so I will present it. Here it's just remodeling. It's just pure 3D modeling using Blender. So I will touch it a bit. And then this may be what I liked. So we will talk about PyDeck. So it's like 3D already. And so just much stuff for some reason. And so it'd be like, yeah, maybe I'll stop just the last ones, which I really like. It is like 3D programming with Python. So it's like done with Blender, but you can script in Python, and this is what we will discuss this. So it's like 3D, but normally you can see what it is really interesting, so you can program real 3D, in Python. So shortly was about that. So let's go maybe to what we already saw. And this is like, I am using here, I'm not sure if the last Q sees, screen, maybe I need to increase font or whatever. Maybe I can do it a bit. Tell me if you do not see it, it's not so much maybe important, so it's like, it was like done during evening time, so, code could be better, but whatever. So here it's interesting, I'm using Cesium, and it is like JavaScript based one, but there is like some package like widget, which allows, to communicate with it. But anyway, I need some HTML and JavaScript anyway, so here, what I did. So here I will just simply turn off all unnecessary Cesium stuff. I mean, all these like, bubbles, the nodes, even like, logos of it, because then I want to have screen. Anyway, I will be, referring to it, but, for my own purposes, it's better not to have. Here it's like function, to save screenshot, so you cannot like just save, it's browser. So I just, run script, it saves, it's very interesting, and here it is like I am using my Mozilla Firefox. So here I need, just to turn off some security stuff in browser, so it's not so easy, but you can find this information, and then, you can do many things, and you right now you see this is like coordinates. It's very easy to find, there are web pages, but we need to be quite exact, because, you see how many numbers. And so it'd be like widget, it means like this, that's it, I run this. Okay, I added like, more elements at the bottom, but here maybe you can see, and what I like, in Jupyter Notebook, you can see, maybe you recognize the place or not. And, you can zoom it. So this is what you saw already. So what I'm doing, so it's like, it's called billboard. So I simply take image from PyCon. It's like a SVG file. So it means like scaling vector graphics, so it recognizes. I just go, it's like text file, I identify whatever I want. This is hard, so it's like mathematical formula, it's interesting, but it is. And so this is like, I check, I will be painting this heart, myself, just for fun, why not? And so it'd be like, then I want to have streets, so it just is data already. I have Lithuanian streets, it's like public data, no problem, you can get in registry center. So I read, and so then I simply cut streets. It's like, it's job pandas, you just clip, with the heart. I take Vilnius streets and clip, them. And that's it, and so it'd be like, then combine all these three parts, and like just load to my previous, like, widget, see some information, and I have it. And then I run animation, so I make frames, and so it'd be like run cycle, and it's interesting, interpolating, so I also use some slowing, function for it. It's like just basis, because if you are interpolating, it starts, stops, etc. It's like not so well looking, and namely that's it on it. So this was like one of the examples. I will go to other one. So we will be talking about this one, which I really like. This was this colorful stuff, So how I will just tell how everything looks like, but will not go into details. You can ask questions, and then. So I take, this file was taken from European Commission, publicly available. I like public data, So I just wanted to make it like for the Baltic states, maybe Poland, Russia, just to have this region, But then afterwards, I decided, maybe not to do it. And this is like, I will be making 3D of it. So it means like, there's like, I need, to make a grid, So you will see, how it ends up, so like I'm just putting, grid X and Y axis, just to interpolate between them. Actually, it's done like automatically, but what's really interesting, so after like doing it, I just decide myself, just to make it like 3D, So I want to draw borders, between countries because it's like, Baltic countries are not like the same. So I'm, checking, and that's it, And finally, I need to cut. And the problem is that there is no snow in sea. Yes, there is no snow in sea. It is possible because you can have ice and snow on ice, but usually it's not like the case. So then I need to know, because it's zero everywhere, if I interpolate, I will get bad plot. So this is why I buffer a bit and then cut, So it's like, you see, it's not like Baltics, it's like a bit bigger territory, just for cutting. And here already I have 3D, but it's like you do not like it, yes? It's 3D, but you do not like it. At least I do not like it. So it's like border. I paint border, as you already saw, is Lucanian. Everything is nice because you can turn around whatever, You just paint it. And there is also like, I was checking, all these like main cities of the Baltics, and finally, I spent much time on it. Frankly speaking, I spent maybe half a day, just working on colors and all these labels, etc. But so this is how it like ended, and so maybe I will even like show palette. Color palette is very important, for snow. So this is what I chose, for it, and so it will like this is also like 3D. And what is maybe the most fun stuff, do you believe it's 3D? You can simply go inside, uh, this snow, so you just can go very close to it, you can turn around, you see. So it's sometimes it's interesting, And for me, it's like actually, I do not like wish to go into details, but it was important to compare Baltic countries because we had so much snow, but Baltic countries like Latvia, Estonia had less, of it. So it was like done for me as like some element of fun, but also it was like important, just to see the information, just to explain, how it goes. But it's like, this was like colors were like the main achievement of for me, just colors. And if I go to this like colors, so this palette was chosen from plenty of them. I even like, was importing some palettes, checking, just it's like for ice, but this I liked the most, so it was like related to snow. And this was like the most interesting part was I used many geo packages, but actually the main package was PyVista, So here it is like PyVista. It's 3D package. And this is like very important to know that, I needed to make data myself. So I mean, I needed to plot all these maps myself, It's easy, you take geodata, you transform to meters, all these like projections, and you just put on top, and then triangulation, this 3D is also like a bit some interesting stuff, but interpolates automatically. You just make a grid, you get the data, and then interpolation takes place. All this triangulation is not so difficult, So this PVista is very good, but it is also interesting, maybe it's not so easy to do with other packages. So it's like these levels of snow. So here I didn't put many of them because just I like minimalistic style, but here you see 30 centimeters and 60 centimeters. So, just it cuts. You can choose any level and immediately you get all these like, lines, just, to see levels, and colors also like depend on height. So this is like how it looks like. And then let's go maybe to PyDeck, what I like in PVista, you can save easily. You don't need, to inject JavaScript or whatever, you can save it very easily. This is what I like the most about PVista, whatever. And it's like automatic, you just update, it just immediate, update of it. So it's like, this is why I worked a bit on it. And so it'll be like, then we will talk about PyDeck. It's very easy one. Maybe you will like it, you will see very easy, just to run it. So here I will skip, this not interesting, data part, because, you choose data, whatever you want, but, you just here define layers, So here I, for some reason, choose like, all this snow data as columns, like grid, which made of columns, So like, column layer, so just 3 different colors, scatter plot. So I put like names of cities, white dots around it, simply then text layer, so it would be my labels. And so it'd be like, then I simply, after defining all these data layers, I just can define my view, camera settings, and I just run, and it's like saved as HTML file, so I can rotate it easily, etc. And you see here, so also I can do it, and you can also have a map, of it, like, so also even like as you see, I can go inside, it, something like that, So, but animation is not so easy stuff. So here I needed to scrape. Maybe it's like not so interesting, I just run my HTML file and scrape it, turning, so it's like, just running cycle, and I am using, Firefox, so I need to scrape it. This is what I do not like about PyDeck, and this is why I was using PyVista. And so it'd be like, then we'll go to the last one, which is like Blender. So Blender is like 3D software, but you can do everything, you can, even like adjust your, create your videos, work with sound, whatever, So maybe you heard about Flow animation movie. So it was Latvian animation movie. It won the first Oscar, from these Baltic countries, and it was done by using Blender. So I'm not like very good in Blender. It's like more for fun, but so it'd be like here. Let's see an example how everything looks like, So here you see screen, it's like Blender, and here I already have Blender kernel, Jupyter notebook, but it's like works with Blender. So here I will see how it works. So here I just import BPI means Blender, package, Blender PI. And so it'll be like here, just I will not like, be going into much in details, but maybe we already see what happens next. So I'm just running, data. And so it'll be like, then we'll be pressing. So it'll be like, I'm just, working with data, and you already see that I already got something, in Blender, because I just simply put data and provided, here myself, I will even like, will define colors of it. So here, let's continue. So just scripting, but it is very good, the scripting works really nice. So here, just what I will do. So just writing this code, I just going down, you maybe already saw that already I draw, grid lines myself. So, I am creating 3D, I do whatever I want, draw lines, etc. And so it'll be like, let's even see further, So I am adding labels, and so it'll be like here, what is more interesting, I even changing, so it's called like, like, all the environment. And finally, I even like, can make animation. So here I'm running, you maybe do not see anything, but so it'd be like here I adding all the text, and so it'd be like then I will go already to Blender. You saw it's like was empty, and so it'd be like here what I have. This is like all this like animation done, so I can even like run, and we'll see, will it work? So you see already it works. So everything was just done by scripting, You saw. I don't need to know to do anything, So then I think I just showed that what I wanted, and so it'd be like here. I see. I think that I have like the final slide, of my today's presentation, but still we have some minutes, for questions if you have any. Here you can definitely connect me and will be fine.